everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Welcome to this week's Ponderous Wednesday. I hope you're all having a fantastic week wherever you may be in this big wide world. Now, if you're new to my channel or don't know, Ponderous Wednesdays are my forum for taking a thought-provoking or interesting topic and having a good old ramble about them here on YouTube to stimulate some interesting discussion down in the comment section below. And as you may have guessed from the lovely pile of yellow we have on the table here, we're going to be talking about gold. Now, there's a couple of topics which I want to address today. The first being the price spike that we saw last week, followed by Friday's smackdown. I actually did end up picking up an ounce of gold when the price was pretty much at its highest last week, so I want to talk about that, whether or not it was a mistake, a regret, etc, etc. It's a really interesting topic to think about. And then following on from that, there was a very interesting sales thread which appeared up on the silver forum last week, or over the weekend, and it relates specifically to gold because we saw a silver forum member list close to $10,000 worth of gold. I think it was about £10,000 worth of gold. He didn't sell every single piece of it. He raised all the money he wanted to raise and then closed down the sales thread. And he sold something like £7,500 worth of gold within a couple of hours on the silver forum. So I want to talk about that and why, even despite the fact that I may well have paid a lot more for this ounce of gold, which I'm about to show you, than I could have done, it's really not a problem, and why I don't think that it's a big problem and it's not something to live with a regret about. So, first of all, price hikes, price spikes, whatever you want to call them. We saw a big price jump last week. And so I got a new 1 ounce gold coin. Of course I did. I got it right at the peak of the prices. I bought it Thursday evening. I was looking at all of the evidence out there, and I had in my head anyway that I was going to be buying an ounce of gold that particular week anyway. It was part of my saving schedule, part of my saving plan, and I saw this coin come up second hand, and it was spot plus 3%, which is pretty much the best price you can get for something like this in the UK at the moment. And I decided to pull the trigger because I'd seen the gold price go quite high really quickly in the UK price anyway. And we saw again, you know, metal prices went a bit bonkers on sort of Wednesday evening, Thursday evening last week. So I pulled that trigger, I bought it when spot was around 980. And then of course what happened on Friday, huge price smackdown. And I was just sitting there throughout the day watching that price drop and drop and drop. It went from I think 980 or 981 or something to around 961, so it was a good 19-20 pounds an ounce. So one could argue that 19 or 20 quid has been wasted here buying this coin. I could have picked it up for less, and that's very true, and it's one thing that you've always got to consider when you're looking to purchase precious metals. And you know, the decision making that I went through at that time was, well, you know, we haven't seen a very large spike like this in gold for a while. There must be a reason why it's happening. I looked around on all of the news, and of course we saw all of the news about the trade war that's going on between China and the US, the imposition of tariffs by Donald Trump, and you know, that just put, you know, a lot of evidence in my head to say that gold was perhaps going to go up a little bit more. But of course, Friday smackdown came along, and whether that's going to be complete manipulation or whether that's a combination of markets not having you know, the full fear factor that they perhaps had the day before, perhaps they've realised that it wasn't necessarily as bad a thing as the news could have been. I don't know, and I think that's the one thing that's really important to understand about the precious metals market, that, you know, we just can't fathom what level of manipulation is out there. So, you know, it could well have been, and I haven't even done a lot of research in this because, again, I just don't really, I mean, it's important, but at the same time, I don't live with huge regrets. So whilst this has, you know, theoretically lost me 20 quid, it hasn't really lost me 20 quid because I've bought gold at a higher spot price than spot was when I bought it before. So this is not the most expensive gold coin that I've bought by any stretch. It's a Bullion Grade coin that I bought. It's 3% over spot. I know that when I want to sell it, I'll be able to get spot price for it at very least. And I'll tell you about why I think that's at least the kind of most guaranteed price you'll get from it based on the activities that we've seen this weekend on the silver forum in a moment. But yeah, you know, understanding the manipulation of the precious metal market is something which in my head is not worth the worry of losing maybe 19-20 quid on purchasing this coin. You know, we all know that there is a large amount of manipulation within the kind of banking industries around this coin, sorry, around gold, not this particular coin, around gold, around silver, around precious metals generally, and it's just one of those things that we have to deal with. I've certainly seen it go the other way. I've purchased silver and gold and then seen the prices dramatically increase. Well, I've seen it a number of times actually, so it's really very good. And of course, when you're looking to run a small hand-poured silver business like myself, you do have to forecast ahead with lots of your silver shots, so it can be very difficult to pick that kind of dip in the market, especially when you've got demand and increasing demand coming through. So it's just something you've got to live with. And I personally don't live with regrets. That gold coin represents to me a very good saving mechanism for me to put away for that rainy day fund, or for the long-term future to go in the pension stack. And one reason why it's a really, really good investment for me is because it is bullion grade gold. And I think that's something that's really important and was very much highlighted this weekend over on the Silver Forum. So we saw on the Silver Forum a sales thread come out, and you probably may not have seen it actually, because it didn't last for very long. Also, if you're not a premium member on the Silver Forum, you will not have seen it, because only premium members get access to the trade section 3 days ahead of all the standard members. And this Silver Forum member put up for sale, I think, close to around £10,000 worth of gold. He ended up selling about 7,500 of it. That was the sort of target that I think he wanted to release in terms of funds. And he put all of his gold coins up at basically spot price. Well, in fact, at spot price. People were able to purchase spot price gold, which is an absolutely fantastic thing. And of course, from my perspective, I would have loved to have picked up my ounce of gold that I had budgeted for this particular month then, but of course I'd already purchased my Britannia at nearly £35–40 more than I would have been able to do had I had seen this post in time. But again, it happened after I'd purchased it, and it's just one of those things. So purchasing spot price gold is a rarity here in the UK, and when you see those threads come up on the Silver Forum, sometimes it's really worth jumping on them. And in fact, all of the really, really good looking coins and bars that he had went very, very quickly, and he raised those funds within, I think, 2.5–3 hours. He'd sold nearly £7,500 worth, which is close to $10,000 worth of gold, at spot price. No sort of pawnbroker fees, no sort of 95% spot prices. It's all paid for on the forum, banks transfers, money's in the bank straight away, and that's just one thing which is incredibly, incredibly good about bullion grade gold. And a lot of the coins he had there, some of them, potentially he made a little bit of a loss on, because maybe he bought them when the spot price was a little bit higher than where it was. But I think his explanation on that forum post was perfect, because it's a saving mechanism. He quite honestly said there that he doesn't mind that he's made a little bit of a loss on there. It's a storage of wealth. Some of the gold that he purchased was purchased 3, 4, 5 years ago. Would you have had a good rate of interest for that money in a bank account? Maybe not that much. Would you have spent that money? And he very rightly said on there that he probably would have done. He would have spent it on food, drink, wine, restaurants, whatever it might be. So the fact that it was locked away in gold form, saving for him, is a absolute fantastic thing. One of the really interesting things, though, throwing a Queen's Beast lion around, is that they were all bullion grade prices, and obviously it does help that he was a very sort of well-established and trusted member of the forum, and that's something to really consider why you should get on forums and start building a profile, building a seller profile, building a buyer profile, so that you can get people purchasing off you with confidence. That's a really important thing as well, but I sidetracked. So the bullion grade aspect of why it was also good as well, he made a quick sale. And the reason I've got this Queen's Beast lion here, if he had had the 1 ounce gold versions of these rather than just simple Britannias, or I think he had one of these Liberty Head Gold Eagles as well. So there were lots of different coins that he had available. But if, for example, he had had a 1 ounce Queen's Beast lion gold coin, at the moment you cannot buy these for less than like 1,400, 1,500 quid, which is about a 40% markup, 40% premium on the gold price. And those are expensive coins. That's an expensive premium. You're not going to be targeting your everyday stacker. Certainly you're not going to sell it as fast as a bullion grade piece of gold would have gone. Certainly a bullion priced piece of gold would have gone. So that's something to really, really consider when looking to formulate a larger gold stack. If you want to liquidate this stuff quickly, you want to try and get as much bullion grade stuff as possible. So for me at the moment, it's very interesting decision-making processes, because we've seen the Queen's Beast series rise up in value in premiums quite well, and now we've seen like the Lion and the Griffin. These are now selling for probably about £290–300 each on the second-hand market. or even on the first-hand market, you can't pick up a Queen's Beast Griffin for less than maybe 290 quid at the moment. So it's certainly been a very successful coin, but that gives an interesting decision for me as an investor and stacker in gold, because I originally purchased these thinking about them as, that kind of bullion weight, capital gains tax-free gold, and at the same time they're now raising in kind of premiums as a collector's coin almost. So the question then comes is, do you look to cash in those premiums and settle that up for something that's just bullion grade gold for the future? So it's something for me to consider as an investor and as a stacker, and it's certainly something which I look to when how I assemble my gold stack for the future when I purchase it. Now, of course, I'm going to continue with these series, and I'm going to have all 10 of these quarter-ounce gold coins, because not only are they great performing coins, but they're also very pretty to look at, and that's something that's very important to me as an investor and stacker in coins. And they are looked at, in my eyes anyway, as a shorter term, they're going to be 3, 4, 5 years anyway, shorter term investment, whereby I will then cash in the premiums on them and then sort that out basically into bullion grade gold. At the end of the process, you maybe have, you have 10 of these, they'll be 2.5 ounces. If when you calculate all the premiums and you were to sell, were able to sell them, you maybe would be able to get 3.2, 3.25 ounces worth of gold out of it. That's a really good thing. You can cash in what you've paid. And of course, when you buy these brand new, when they come out, you're paying roughly bullion prices, maybe 5% over spot for some of these when they come out. So, overall, it's a really good set to invest in, and it's something to consider. But for me, when I get to that point where I want to sell something and sell something quickly, these will not be the ones to sell quickly, because you won't be getting the full value for them. Now, of course, you can still get the gold price out of them. That's, as we've seen, pretty much guaranteed. But the kind of inner investor and stacker in me would always say, well, why sell these 5 when you could sell this for bullion grade and get the exact same quick sale that you're always wanting to do? Anyway, that's what I have to say about that. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions. Firstly, what do you think about my new pickup? This 2010 gold coin is absolutely fantastic. I will talk about this a little bit more and show it on an In Focus Friday, I'm sure, at some point. But I'd love to know about your thoughts on it. Did you pick up gold on Thursday evening last week when the gold was at its highest? Is that a big mistake? I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions. It happens. I'm not living with regrets. I've saved some money. That's the most important thing. This is going in that pension stack. It's going to be used in the future when it's needed to. It's storage of wealth, which is obviously really important. But I'd love to know your thoughts on it. I'd love to know how you deal with these situations when you see huge price spikes followed by a price drop just after you've purchased. It's one of those things in life which can affect quite a lot of people in different ways. For me, I just kind of get on with it, and it smarts for the first couple of hours when you see that happen, but at the end of the day, it's not something to dwell on. There's so much more in life to worry about than whether or not you lost 19 or 20 quid on a purchase of a gold coin. If you like this video, please do comment down below and put the thumbs up on it as well. That would be very helpful for everything that I do here on my channel. If you would like to support my channel, please consider going over to my website, backyardbullion.com, and purchasing some of my hand-pulled silver. Every little purchase helps and goes towards keeping my dream alive of becoming a full-time silver pouring producer. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that alarm bell, and you'll get a notification when I upload future videos. Otherwise, that's all I have to say today. I hope you have enjoyed this nice shiny pile of gold. Remember to put that thumbs up on. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and please make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.